The Brother and Sister, a fairy tale by the Brothers Grimm. The brother took his sister's hand and said to her, "Since our mother died, we have had no good days. Our stepmother beats us every day, and if we go near her, she kicks us away. We have nothing to eat but hard crusts of bread left over. The dog under the table fares better, he gets a good piece every now and then. If our mother only knew how she would pity us. Come, let us go together out into the wide world." So they went and journeyed the whole day through fields and meadows and stony places. And if it rained, the sister said, "The skies and we are weeping together." In the evening they came to a great wood, and they were so weary with hunger and their long journey that they climbed up into a high tree and fell asleep. The next morning, when they awoke, the sun was high in heaven and shone brightly through the leaves. Then said the brother, "Sister, I am thirsty. If I only knew where to find a brook, that I might go and drink. I almost think that I hear one rushing." So the brother got down and led his sister by the hand, and they went to seek the brook. But their wicked stepmother was a witch, and had known quite well that the two children had run away, and had sneaked after them as only witches can, and had laid a spell on all the brooks in the forest. So when they found a little stream flowing smoothly over its pebbles, the brother was going to drink of it. But the sister heard how it said in its rushing, "He a tiger will be who drinks of me, who drinks of me a tiger will be." Then the sister cried, "Pray, dear brother, do not drink, or you will become a wild beast, and will tear me in pieces." So the brother refrained from drinking, though his thirst was great, and he said he would wait till he came to the next brook. When they came to a second brook, the sister heard it say, "He a wolf will be, who drinks of me, who drinks of me a wolf will be." Then the sister cried, "Pray, dear brother, do not drink, or you will be turned into a wolf, and will eat me up." So the brother refrained from drinking, and said, "I will wait until we come to the next brook, and then I must drink, whatever you say. My thirst is so great." And when they came to the third brook, the sister heard how in its rushing it said, "Who drinks of me, a fawn will be. He a fawn will be who drinks of me." Then the sister said, "O my brother, I pray drink not, or you will be turned into a fawn, and run away far from me." But he had already kneeled by the side of the brook, and stooped and drunk of the water. And as the first drops passed his lips, he became a fawn. And the sister wept over her poor lost brother, and the fawn wept also, and stayed sadly beside her. At last the maiden said, "Be comforted, dear fawn, indeed I will never leave you." Then she untied her golden girdle and bound it round the fawn's neck, and went and gathered rushes to make a soft cord, which she fastened to him. And then she led him on, and they went deeper into the forest. And when they had gone a long, long way, they came at last to a little house, and the maiden looked inside. And as it was empty, she thought, "We might as well live here." And she fetched leaves and moss to make a soft bed for the fawn. And every morning she went out and gathered roots and berries and nuts for herself, and fresh grass for the fawn, who ate out of her hand with joy, frolicking round her. At night, when the sister was tired and had said her prayers, she laid her head on the fawn's back, which served her for a pillow, and softly fell asleep. And if only the brother could have got back his own shape again, it would have been a charming life. For a long time, the brother and sister lived all alone in the wilderness. Then one day, the king of that land held a great hunt in the forest. The blare of the horns, the barking of the dogs, and the cheerful shouts of the huntsmen echoed through the trees. The little fawn heard it all and was overcome with a desire to join them. "Oh, sister," he pleaded, "please let me go to the hunt. I can't bear to stay here any longer." He begged and begged until finally she gave in. "But listen carefully," she warned him. "You must come back to me by nightfall. I have to lock the door to keep the wild hunters out. So I'll know it's you. You must knock and say, 'Little sister, let me in.' If I don't hear those exact words, I will not open the door." The fawn joyfully sprang out, feeling free and happy in the open air. It wasn't long before the king and his huntsmen spotted the beautiful creature. They immediately began to chase him, but they just couldn't catch him. Whenever they thought they had him cornered, he would leap over the bushes and vanish into the woods. As soon as darkness fell, he returned to the little house. He knocked on the door and said, "Little sister, let me in." The door swung open, and he went inside to rest for the night on his soft bed. The very next morning, the hunt started all over again. When the fawn heard the hunting horns and the tally-ho cries of the men, he couldn't stay still. "Little sister, let me out," he said. "I have to go." His sister opened the door, reminding him, "Remember, you must come back tonight and say the same words." Once again, the king and his hunters saw the fawn with the golden collar. They chased him relentlessly, but he was too quick and nimble for them. This went on all day. Finally, as evening approached, the hunters managed to surround him. One of them nicked his foot, just a small wound, but it made him limp and slow down. As he made his way back, a hunter secretly followed him all the way to the little house. The hunter listened as the fawn called out, "Little sister, let me in," and watched as the door opened and then quickly shut behind him. The hunter carefully noted everything. He went straight to the king and told him everything he had seen and heard. The king declared, "Tomorrow we will hunt again." The sister was terrified when she saw her little fawn was hurt. She gently washed his foot, wrapped it in cooling leaves, and said, "Lie down on your bed, dear fawn, and rest so you can get well." The wound was so small that by the next morning, the fawn barely felt it. When he heard the sounds of the hunt outside, he exclaimed, "I can't stay in, I have to go. They won't catch me so easily this time." His sister started to cry. "I know they'll kill you," she sobbed, "and I'll be left all alone in this forest, abandoned by everyone. I can't let you go. Then I'll die right here from longing." The fawn replied, "When I hear the horns, I feel like I could leap out of my own skin." Seeing she couldn't change his mind, the sister unlocked the door with a heavy heart. The fawn, healthy and happy, bounded out into the forest. When the king saw him, he gave his hunters new orders. Now follow him all day long until night comes, but make sure you do not harm him. So, as soon as the sun had set, the king said to the hunter who had found the house, "Now, come and show me the little house in the wood." When he arrived at the door, the king knocked and called out in a soft voice, "Little sister, let me in." The door opened, and the king stepped inside. There before him stood a young woman more beautiful than anyone he had ever seen. The maiden cried out in shock when she saw not her little fawn, but a man with a golden crown on his head. But the king looked at her kindly. He took her by the hand and said, "Will you come with me to my castle and be my dear wife?" "Oh yes," the maiden answered, "but the fawn must come with me. I could never leave him." And the king replied, "He shall stay with you as long as you live, and he will want for nothing." Just then the fawn came bounding in. His sister tied the soft cord of rushes to him, and, holding his lead in her own hand, she walked with the king out of the little house in the forest. But once upon a time, the king placed the beautiful maiden on his horse and carried her to his magnificent castle. Their wedding was a grand affair, celebrated with immense pomp and joy. She became his queen, and for a long while they lived together in perfect happiness. The little fawn, her dear brother, was also well cared for. He was cherished by everyone and spent his days gambling merrily about the castle garden. Now, you might remember the wicked stepmother, the very one whose cruelty had driven the children out into the world. She had always assumed the sister had been devoured by wild beasts in the forest, and that the brother, as a fawn, had been killed by hunters. So when she heard rumors of their good fortune and incredible happiness, jealousy and envy consumed her. These dark feelings gnawed at her heart, leaving her no peace. But her only thought became how to bring them to ruin. Adding to her fury was her own daughter, who was as ugly as sin and had only one eye. She would constantly complain to her mother, whining, "I never got the chance to be a queen." "Patience, my dear," the old woman would say, trying to placate her. "When the time is right, I will be there to make it happen." A while later, a joyous occasion arrived at the castle. The queen brought a beautiful baby boy into the world. On that very day, the king was away on a hunt. This was the moment the old witch had been waiting for. She used her dark magic to disguise herself as the queen's chambermaid and slipped into the room where the new mother lay resting. "Come," the witch said in a sweet, deceitful voice. "The bath is ready. It will refresh you and give you new strength. We must hurry before it gets cold." Her one-eyed daughter was waiting nearby. Together, the two villains carried the weak and unsuspecting queen into the bathroom. But this was no ordinary bath. They had secretly built a raging fire in the room, creating an inferno designed to suffocate the beautiful young queen. Once their horrific deed was done, the old witch took her daughter, put a cap on her head to mimic the queen's style, and laid her in the royal bed. She used her magic to give her daughter the queen's form and face, but there was one thing her power couldn't fix: she couldn't restore the missing eye. To hide this, the imposter had to lie on the side where her eye was missing, so the king wouldn't notice. That evening, the king returned home. When he heard that a son had been born to him, his heart swelled with joy. He rushed to his dear wife's bedside to see how she was doing, but the old witch, still disguised as the chambermaid, quickly intervened. "For your life, sire, do not draw back the curtains. The light will harm her. She must be kept in darkness and quiet." The king, wanting only what was best for his wife, obeyed. He went away, never knowing that a false queen, an imposter, was lying in his bed. The castle fell silent. It was midnight, and everyone was asleep. In the nursery, a nurse sat alone by the cradle, watching over the newborn prince. Suddenly, she saw the door creak open. The true queen, now a ghostly spectre, glided into the room. She lifted her child from the cradle, held him to her bosom, and nursed him. Then she gently fluffed his little pillow, placed him back in his cradle, and tucked him in with the coverlet. She didn't forget her brother, the fawn. She went to the corner where he lay, stroking his back tenderly. Then, just as silently as she had come, she departed. The next morning, the nurse asked the castle guards if they had seen anyone enter during the night. "No one," they replied. "We saw nothing." The queen's spirit returned for many nights after that, always in silence. The nurse saw her every time, but she was too afraid to tell anyone what she had witnessed. After some time had passed, the queen's spirit seemed to find her voice. One night, as she held her child, she whispered, "My child, my fawn, twice more I come to see, twice more I come, and then the end must be." The nurse heard her words, but remained silent, frozen in fear. But as soon as the ghostly queen had vanished, she ran to the king and told him everything. "Heavens, what is this you're telling me?" the king exclaimed. "I will see for myself. I will watch by the child tomorrow night." That evening, the king hid himself in the nursery. At the stroke of midnight, the queen appeared again. She looked at her child and whispered the sorrowful words, "My child, my fawn, once more I come to see, once more I come, and then the end must be." She tended to her baby as she always did before vanishing into the night. The king was so stunned he couldn't speak, but his resolve hardened. He would watch again. The following night, he was there once more. The queen's spirit appeared, her voice filled with a final, heartbreaking sorrow. "My child, my fawn, this once I come to see, this once I come, and now the end must be." At that, the king could not contain himself any longer. He leaped from his hiding place, rushed towards her, and cried out, "You are no other than my dear wife." She turned, her spectral form shimmering, and answered, "Yes, I am your dear wife." In that very moment, as if by a miracle from heaven, life returned to her. Color flooded her cheeks, warmth returned to her skin, and she was once again healthy, whole, and strong, with tears of joy streaming down her face. She told the king everything, the terrible trap the wicked witch and her daughter had laid for her, the fire, the deception. The king, filled with a righteous fury, had them both arrested and brought to judgment. A sentence was quickly passed. The ugly daughter was sent into the forest, where she was devoured by the wild beasts she had once hoped would kill the queen. As for the wicked witch, she was condemned to be burned at the stake, a miserable end for a miserable life. And as soon as her body turned to ashes, the dark spell that had bound the little fawn was broken. He transformed, shedding his animal form, and stood before them as a young man once again. The brother and sister, finally free from all evil, were reunited in their human forms. And from that day forward, they lived happily together, their bond of love unbreakable until the very end. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more tales from long ago. See you next time.